Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a personal trainer of 27 years and a nutritional coach. Here to help those unsure of where they're going in the fitness world. I concentrate on getting the basics right, simple, and backed with good nutrition knowledge. I grew up in the 70s and 80s when we didn't have PlayStations. So it was back in the day when people actually went outside to play and climb trees, kicked a ball around, rode a bike. So we didn't have the option of sitting in and just playing on computers. So I was always an active child, and I was always out, like I say, riding my bike, climbing a tree, get up the mischief as kids did in those days. And I always played football, doing that from a very young age. But I was relatively late getting into the fitness world. As a teenager, in my day, you didn't really use the gym. You got your fitness by playing, but we were physically active as opposed to purposely going out and trying to improve our fitness. It just happened because the daily things you did. Whereas today, people are sitting down in front of computers, being disciplined and keeping going, whether it be in work, training, life, I suppose. I think that's just the way I am. I wouldn't say I was particularly brought up any different to anybody else. But I realised that if you want things in life, you have to do them. You are not handed things on a plate. So if you want to get better at football, you have to practice. And you just kept doing it. You keep repeating these things. If it's something you enjoy, it becomes a habit after a while as well. Discipline's like a strong word, isn't it? You know, you're disciplined at school perhaps or something like that. But to me, discipline is just carrying along doing what you want to do and with an end result, hopefully, that you're aiming towards. But I never really knew what I wanted to do with my life. Some people I know knew they were going to go into computers. They knew, they wanted to be a vet, they wanted to be a doctor, etc. But I didn't want to sit in an office. I certainly wanted to do something active. As I got older, into my late teens, I did start to use the gym a little. But a lot of that, of course, was just to look better at the aesthetics. I can't amaze you with these great stories of I'd always wanted to be a personal trainer. I'd always wanted to be a whatever, because I didn't. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. But as it turned out, it worked out well. After I finished college, I ended up working in a local supermarket. I did okay with it. I was, going to go into management, etc. Family friend, a Canadian, came over to visit my parents, and he just off the cuff basically said, "Anytime you want to come out to Canada, give me a shout." And I thought, well, let's take him up on it. Let's do this. Let's go and see the world. They lived in an area of Canada called Saskatchewan, basically farming country. It's almost like you've gone back 100 years. And so I was out there. I was farming, driving tractors and doing all the things I'd never done before, having the time of my life. I extended my stay. I think I was supposed to stay for 3 months. Now, of course, stupidly, I didn't renew my insurance, which in retrospect was a bad move. Then one fateful day, November the 10th, I believe it was, I was actually going to get my hair cut, of all things. Vanity strike. I don't remember anything. The theory is I was driving on the roads. They were more sort of dirt tracks. It wasn't a real road. The theory is that deer jumped out on me. I swerved to avoid them. Now the roads are built up out there so the snow can blow off. I came off the road and I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. If I had, I wouldn't be here now. I came out the windscreen and I was crawling around for 5 or 6 hours before they found me. By this time it was minus 11 out there, so it was pretty chilly as well. I suffered a spinal injury and a head injury as well. And then when I was eventually found, apparently I went into a coma. I was in a coma for 2 weeks, I believe. Then my parents flew out trying to get me back to England, trying to arrange all that, which obviously is a bit of a palaver. I was on a stretcher. I actually arrived back at Salisbury in the spinal treatment centre there on Christmas Eve in 1990. So happy Christmas, maybe not, but at least I was back in England. Life took a bit of a turn then, the end of my football days. Again, I didn't know what I was going to do before then, and I certainly didn't know what I was going to do now that I found myself as a wheelchair user, paralysed from just below the waist. At the time, obviously, it was a big shock. I got through it with the help of my friends, basically, and support of family, obviously. And looking back on it, I'm surprised how well I did come through it. That's how I ended up in my situation. But these things happen for a reason, and they put me where I am now. Life totally changed. Now, to start with, obviously, you're laid up in bed basically for a while before they start to mobilise you. And as it turned out, I actually needed to be reoperated on because, of all things, I had a screw loose, which was of great hilarity to everybody, except me, obviously. That followed a bit more bed rest. Now, when you're on bed rest and, your life's changing, it's a big, big change. But you look around you and there's so many other people. It was, like I say, it was an actual spinal unit. And there's other people in chairs, some with neck break that can hardly move at all. And the camaraderie and the spirit just gets you through it. You think they're doing it, why can't I? So once you can mobilise, this is done very slowly, obviously, because you've been lying in bed for 6 weeks, etc. You also have to wear a brace around your middle where the surgery's been done. And then basically it's physio time. It's up to you to get on with it. They don't force you to do anything. You're all adults there. Yeah, there were weight sessions in the morning to build your strength up. Obviously, you've been laid up for a long time, so there's a lot of atrophy occurs. And then you basically told how to live again. How do you get dressed? How do you get yourself into your chair? How do you sit yourself, even sitting yourself up? Depending on the level of injury. You might have no abdominal. I've got limited abdominals. My lower abdominals aren't there. Even though I'm a low break, they teach you how to live your life again, your new life, and you need to be able to get on with it. And it's hard work, but if you put the effort in, just like anything in life, you put the effort in, you get out quicker. So that's about right. 5 or 6 months. It's just intensive. How do you live? How do you dress yourself? How do you pull wheelies so you can go on down curves? It's not just for looking cool. Everyone's in the same boat, and as well, spinal injury tends to be a young person's injury because they tend to do the silly things. But you're surrounded by like-minded people. You just get on with it. You could quite easily lay in bed. And at the time, I'm not proud to say, but I was a smoker. You could smoke in that. It's crazy. You could smoke there. You could drink because you were regaining your life. It wasn't a normal hospital. I think that was important as well. Got your mindset right and got you used to what life's got ahead of you. You've got to help yourself. No one's going to do it for you. After I got discharged from hospital, and I actually went back to college to study management. I didn't even think about going to the gym or any sort of sport. Obviously, I was very nervous being in a wheelchair, thinking I've got this image of gyms being full of these huge guys throwing sand around, the old cliche. It wasn't like that, of course. And nobody bats an eye, nobody looks at you. If anything, they probably admire you being in a place in a wheelchair. We started training and I just loved it. I fell in love with the feeling, the endorphins. So I got qualified. After the original gym I went at closed down, me and two of the people from that gym opened a new facility. And it was just lovely. It was almost like a gym for people that don't go to the gym. And like I said, we had old people. We had people in their 80s training there. We had all shapes, all sizes, and it was just such a lovely, friendly atmosphere. And it was very stressful because in the end, I bought the other two out and it was just me. And although a lot of people think I'm living the dream, business owner, there's a lot of expenses, a lot of hassles, especially when you don't own the building. It's an old building, repairs, there's insurances, there's music licenses, there's equipment, new equipment costs. People don't realise you've got to pay the staff. It's very stressful. But I wouldn't have changed a minute for it. And I loved it. And like I said, the community there, the friendships I made there, I made for life. It was a joy to go. I was working 14-hour days, 6 days a week. I was my own boss, but I loved it. But all good things come to an end. And eventually the landlord sold the premises and it's now flats. But it'll always hold a special place in my heart, that place. We called it Images. Well, I've been there for 19 years. To me, it was my first dipping into the fitness industry other than being a client. And because I loved the gym environment, I loved the training, and it just seemed a perfect fit. I always get on with people. I can talk to anybody. So the two went hand in hand, really. It was a discipline I loved, and it was a way of making a career out of it, of helping others. I know that's a cliche, but we do it to help us. It's nice we get paid for it. We've got bills to pay, obviously. But ultimately it is to help others and spread the word, if you like, regarding fitness. Again, I've just, my entire life, I think I've just drifted. Everything just sort of fell into place. And I thought, this is going to sound really great, but I was meant to be there. It was meant to be. Maybe if I hadn't broken my back, the plan was to keep traveling, who knows what would have happened to me. So maybe, it all happened. Maybe it's the greater calling that I was supposed to break my back and become a fitness instructor. Owning that place for 19 years, apart from teaching me how difficult it is to run a gym, it taught me a lot about people and about the fact that everyone's idea of fitness is different, everyone's capabilities are different, but everyone has the right to be able to train, and everyone should be training as they want to. People's reasons for wanting to keep fit, the older people, it was a case I want to be able to climb up the stairs. And the younger people, I want to look good because I'm going out clubbing later. Everyone's an individual. Everyone needs different things. Everyone values different things. So it's important that you get to know the person. And when you've got a small gym like I had, I think we had around 100 members, and obviously not all of those are busy, are using it at the same time. I knew everybody's name. I knew what they did. I knew their likes and dislikes. And you could get a much more personal service. It was the personal touch. And I think that's why we lasted as long as we did, because we weren't the best equipped gym. And it was at a time when places like Pure and the gym were just opening, and these are like £15 a month with modern technology, equipment, sorry. And yet we kept going. And you get to know people individually, whereas in the big commercial gyms now, you're just a number. There's no community. Taught me about myself as well, that I could run a business. It was a learning curve from day one to the day it closed. I think every day was different. There's always another problem here or there. But there are also victories every day. The thanks I got, and people were genuinely upset that we were closing. Yeah, 19 great years. Taught me so much, yeah. Training has become so overcomplicated now. My philosophy is pick a weight up, put it down, get the technique right, and just do the basics well. Schwarzenegger didn't get in the shape he is now he just lifted things, didn't he? He did it basically. I'm also a huge fan of nutrition. No disrespect meant to anybody. Unfortunately, we do live in an obesogenic society nowadays, and because people are sat down so much and there's such access to fast food, people are putting on a lot of weight. So it was something that interested me, because we always think obesity is just eat too much, you're lazy, you don't do anything. But there's so much more to it than that. And it was such an interesting course, because it showed the socioeconomic factors involved in obesity. It's not just gluttony. Some people, yes, are just lazy and don't move around, but for a lot of people, it's easy to say eat healthily in that. But if you're on the bread line, there's so many other things involved. And that's what really made me want to go on and do the nutrition course afterwards. Like I said, I'm level 4 qualified now, I'm one below a dietitian. And the whole way that the food interacts with the body it's just so interesting to me. The old adage that you can't out-train a bad diet. Nutrition is so important. If you're not getting enough protein, people giving up carbs, that's the energy. So my philosophy is do the basics well and eat well. You can't really do one without the other. You need the full package, and train hard. People don't train hard enough. They think just by turning up, having a personal trainer perhaps as well, they're doing their bit, but they've still got to work hard and sleep, rest. Don't be in the gym 7 days a week. Your body needs time to recover. But I could go on for hours and hours about this. But yeah, let's take the basics then. Just do the basics well, eat well, and train hard. And you won't go far wrong with that. People want results immediately. Unfortunately, life isn't the way that people would like it nowadays. There are always ups and downs, upsets, things get in the way. People seem to think that I've been training for 3 weeks, so I don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It takes time. Progress is never linear. When people have drops off or they want to quit, perhaps, you've just got to, all you can do is reassure them and explain to them that it's not linear. Every person you deal with is an individual, has individual problems, individual issues, and individual ways of dealing with those issues. And some people just need to be told. So, like I say, some people need to be put an arm around them and be gentle with them. Others need to have it beaten into them. It's not just training, it's personal training. And the more you can concentrate on that personal side of it, the better you get to know your client. And then you can react with it, pat them on the back when they've done well, brilliantly. If they're having issues, you'll know more how to deal with it. 9 times out of 10, if you delve hard enough, you'll find out what the reasons are for it's not working. I often could use the 7 whys, especially when you're goal setting. So I want to lose weight. Why? Oh, because I don't like the way I look. Or why? Because whatever. And you keep going through the whys, then you get to the ultimate reason. And that can work as well when you're going and working out what the problem is. So you haven't lost the weight. Well, why do you think that is? They answer their own questions, and that empowers them rather than me telling them, you do that, you do that, you do that. Why do you think you should do that? Why do you think that happened? Get them involved in it, and there's the personal bit again. I'll always ask at the end of the session, how do you feel that went? How do you think anything could have improved? Did you enjoy it? I think feedback is very important in a session, because it's no good, you know, I know what I'm doing and I'm telling people, but if they're not enjoying it, then they're not going to do it. If you're doing a weight loss and coach says, right, we're going to do 20 burpees every week, and if they don't like burpees, they're not going to like it. They're not going to give it their all. In my original consultation, I'll always ask them what they've done before and what's worked and what hasn't worked and what they like and what they don't like. And I think that's important, because there are always ways around. If you don't like doing a certain exercise, do something else. It's not personal. If they didn't have a good session, they didn't have a good session. Now, whether they didn't have a good session because they didn't sleep right the night before, or because I didn't give them what they wanted, these are the things you need to know so you can rectify and change that for the next time. We always use the cliche, it's nice to give back, and you know, we really do this to help people, which obviously we do. One of the big charities was called Help for Heroes. I decided I would bench press a tank, which seemed like a good idea at the time. It was actually the weight of a Challenger tank, which was 62 and a half tons. 50 kilos, it was 50 kilos weight, and I believe I was just doing set of 10 rest, set of 10 rest. I believe I did it in just under 2 hours. So I can officially say that I've bench pressed a tank. Not many people can say that. The next one we did 12-hour circuits class for charity. That was for a local hospice. It's incredibly difficult trying to motivate and basically talk nonsense for 12 hours. We said there was somebody, at least one person doing circuits for the full 12 hours. The most recent one I've done, obviously in the chair, cardio, it can be a bit of an issue. I've done half marathons and 10Ks and the like, but I did 10 kilometers on the ski erg. That was good fun. That took just under an hour, I believe. So those are the three main ones I've done for charity, although I did the one with half marathon a couple of years back as well, which was a really bad move, because when you're going along the front there's a camber on the prom, and there's also about an inch thick of sand, and pushing through that is not much fun. And then there's an almighty hill at about the 10-mile mark, and it was it was disgusting. But I did that. Not bad for limited training and someone in his 50s in a wheelchair. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of all the things I've done as well. They're fun, and maybe I should get another one going. So any thoughts? So I'm now like 27 years into my personal training career. And one of the big changes, obviously, is online training. Now, like I say, I still go around the gym with a clipboard and a piece of paper. But of course, the future is online training. You can do it anywhere, and it seems to be the growing thing. I'm a bit of a technophobe. I don't know what I'm doing. I much prefer one-to-one. But there is a big market for online training. I really do want to get involved with. Now and again, I have issues where I'm away from the business, medical reasons. During that time, obviously, I can't do one-to-one training. I need to find another way, and that is the online training. A lot of my clients are of a similar age, maybe to me, and they're old school, and so they don't do the online training. So without that, I've got no income. But I've been meaning to do it for a long time. This latest layup has really hit me financially as well. Let's be honest. But essentially, I'm on bed rest. I am getting up. I shouldn't be, but I'm getting up to go to the gym 3 times a week just for my mental health now. But for over 14 months, I've just been laying in bed waiting for this surgery. And obviously, with the ability to do online training, it wouldn't have made a difference. The opportunity to work with Gymbile is one I'm looking forward to going forward. Obviously, I'm not going to be laid up forever, but to be able to do it, particularly in my situation, when there are going to be times when I just can't get on the gym floor, there's always going to be issues with my condition, unfortunately. So I think it's possibly more important for me than a lot of people to be able to keep an income coming in while I'm away from the gym floor. And obviously, to keep helping people, I've got to remember that we're in it to give back. This opportunity with Gymbile is one that I'm going to try and grab with both hands, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it develops. a lot of people don't want to go to the gym, but a lot of people have got access to bands, bottles of water, body weight, and that's something that could be a big market for the online one. I mean, we all think, the fitness world's all these buff guys and girls that have been lifting for years and the vests on and that. But older people need training just for the activities of daily living, to be able to get up the stairs, to play with their grandkids. I know that sounds a bit cliche, and we're all going to get older. If we can encourage the older population to embrace this technology, as I am, there could be a massive, less tapped market there. I think the home training could really pick up through, and particularly with the video, with the Gymbile, because then you can just show the client as well. A lot of times, with the online training, as I haven't done it, but I've seen things like Trainerize and PT Hub, and it will just write down, like pull down 3 sets of 10, whatever. Whereas when you've got the video here, you can grab a band at home and you can show somebody who's someone in a chair like myself, or an old person sat down. Here's a band, pull it, push it. You can show them what's going on. I think the video online coaching can open up so many more opportunities, particularly for those that just don't want to go to a gym. You don't need to be slinging big bits of weight around to get fit. Just getting up and down off the sofa for some people is an achievement. And I think that's a market that could very well be reached with the video online training. The potential is huge. We already know that. And, ultimately, what is there to be afraid of? You've just got to get out there and try it. And if it doesn't work, then at least you've tried. Everybody can benefit from exercise. Now, many people are injured or old, they've never trained in their life. And that's all the more reason to get somebody who knows what they're doing to show you what to do. Everybody knows the benefits of exercise, but a lot of people don't know what they're doing. They've seen the pictures of people in the gym picking things up, putting them down, but they don't know what to do. That's where the personal trainer comes in, and that's why there'll always be a need for them. If you want to get your car serviced, you take it to the mechanic, someone who knows the car. If you want to improve your body, you go to a personal trainer. You go to the experts to get the advice. And that's what we do. It's just your body. You only get one. You don't get a second chance. So you want to get the best out of it. So you want somebody who knows what they're doing to help you.